Well. Saturday, November 16th, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm Bob Harris. It's time for my weekly Ask Me Anything live stream before we get to your questions. And I see they're already piling up. Appreciate that. Also, feel free to answer each other's questions in the chat. I won't get to all the questions, but I'll get to as many as I can. Glad to see everyone here. Footballguys.com, that's the website. Find all my work there. Fantasy Notebook on Thursdays. Polarizing Players collaboration with Gary Davenport on Fridays. My In and Out column will be out today. I'll discuss some of those things as well. Catch me on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio tonight. I'll be on from 8 to 11 on NFL Radio and the Fantasy Channel. Mike Dempsey and I will have Dave Richard on from CBS. We'll have Jamie Calandro on as usual to talk DFS. We're on almost every night. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 to midnight on the Fantasy Channel. Saturday night, 8 to 11 on NFL and the Fantasy Channel. I'm on Sunday on the pregame show from 11 to 1 with Jeff Mann. So check that out. Appreciate your time and interest. And every day, the daily podcast, the daily update podcast with myself and Mike Dempsey. A little late birthday, love. Appreciate that. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. Had a fantastic birthday. You missed nothing, Ann. It was a lot of work to get done, so I did all the work. So appreciate y'all being here. I have my friend Lindsay Rhodes from the Fantasy Dirt podcast and Sumer Sports on the hot seat this week on Tuesday. That's every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Encourage you to go watch the replay of that. I have another great guest coming up this week. Someone I want to expose you all to who I think is a very, very sharp, young, up-and-coming analyst. So stay tuned for that Tuesday, 7 p.m. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You can like me. You don't have to. I like myself enough, I'm told. So here we go. I want to run through the injuries like I always do just to get you up to speed on things. And before we get to the questions, say hello to everybody. Hi, everybody. Hello. Scamper's here to break the news. Happy personal New Year, Bob. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It was very, it's hard to imagine I'm still here. Morning, Royal Slade. Thanks for coming. Appreciate you. So week 11, we do have teams on buys, by the way. So be ready for that. New York, Arizona, New York Giants, Arizona Cardinals, Tampa Bay, Carolina. So more buys coming. Week 12 is going to be a 6-team bye week. Week 14 will be a 6-team bye week. So with injuries and attrition, I know you got a ton of questions and things on your mind. So let's roll through these injuries real quick and kind of set the table there and any major changes that are coming. We'll start at the quarterback position. As always, Trevor Lawrence is not a lot of injuries this week, right? It's kind of cool. It's been like a relatively smooth week on the injury front. Not even a ton of questionable guys. And some of the ones who we expected were ruled out. So we have some resolution. Not a lot of guys either off the injury report, they're out, or just a handful of questionables. Trevor Lawrence is among the outs against the Lions. Mac Jones will make a second start. Wasn't good last week, right? 111 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Got to get better. Tough matchup for Evan Ingram in this one. Anthony Richardson's back. Not due to injury, just Joe Flacco was brought in to win games. He did not win games. Anthony Richardson's back against the Jets. Gardner Minshew will continue to start for the Raiders. There was some talk that Desmond Ridder would get the nod. They've got a new offensive coordinator there, Scott Turner. He brought his dad, Norv, along. Joe Philbin will run the offensive line, so we'll see if any changes there. They're in Miami this week. Caleb Williams will continue to start. Hasn't been playing well. He's got a new coordinator, too. Shane Waldron's out. Thomas Brown is in. Thomas Brown has done this thing before in Carolina, replacing Frank Reich as the play caller before Frank Reich was fired, and he kept calling plays and didn't get Bryce Young on track. I don't know if the Bears offense is going to get on track this year. Not investing heavily in that, but in the long term, Caleb Williams will be fine, people. Other quarterback news, Lamar Jackson, if you heard he missed a practice or your sleeper app told you he was questionable at some point, he's not. He's fine. Ready to go against the Steelers, like Russell Wilson in that game, too. Like a lot of offense, 318 points the Ravens have scored, forcing a big play catch-up game from the Steelers against a super generous pass defense. I love that game. Jaguars, Tank Bigsby out against Detroit, so Travis Etienne will get the bulk of the workload there. It's a tough matchup. So not super excited. Ernest Johnson will be in the mix too. Isaiah Pacheco, not back yet, but getting closer. He's practicing this week or returned to practice for the first time since, I want to say week 2. Broke his fibula or tibia. Fibula. I don't Should have a chance to play next week against the Panthers. And so Kareem Hunt has a free path. Jamal Williams is out for the Saints. Jordan Mims has been working as the backup, but Taysom Hill's really the backup there. So Alvin Kamara not needing much backup either. That guy is killing it with the touches. Some really interesting high volume players at running back position. We can talk about that if you'd like over the course of the morning. Jalen Warren's questionable. I don't know. He was added during the week, I think on Thursday with a limited session, but he did get in some work on Friday, so that'll be worth watching. Najee Harris is fine. I think there's going to be a lot of passing that game. Aaron Jones is fine. If you saw the rib injury last week, he was carted off the field. No issues. He worked on a limited basis all week in practice. The wide receiver, the news is more about who is back than who is out. I want to say Nico Collins looks like he will be back this week for Monday Night Football. It says 100%. We'll get the injury report today, maybe even during this show. I'm expecting him to go. Full participant yesterday in practice. Says he'll be ready to go. T. Higgins off the injury report. That's a Sunday night game. Says he's ready to go. If you don't follow Andrew Cooper on the X machine, and we'll talk about the X in the blue sky and all that stuff here. But Andrew had a brilliant running up the hill. Go to Coop's X feed and check it out. The hill test tells you told us T. Higgins was going to play, and he is going to play. And we haven't seen him for 3 weeks. It'd be nice to have him back. DK Metcalf returns too, playing against the 49ers. Darnell Mooney gave us a scare this week, came up with an Achilles issue. He practiced again fully Friday and should be ready to go. Oh, he's limited Friday, but he should be good to go. Amari Cooper is a truly questionable player. Has a wrist injury. Says he'll play with a cast on his wrist and not that he needs, but he's gotten comfortable with it. So there's that. Keon Coleman is out in that game, and I'll talk about Dalton Kincaid in a minute. Juju Smith-Schuster's back. I don't know what kind of role he'll have. Right, with DeAndre Hopkins coming on, it's tough. It should be an interesting game against the Buffalo Bills. I'm expecting a high scoring affair. I don't know why the Chiefs are playing really tough. It just seems like these games go off the rails. Michael Pittman back to play with Anthony Richardson. We'll see. Pittman hasn't been great, right? And so I don't know if against the Jets with Anthony Richardson, if we want to wait and see on that, we'll talk about that. I'm sure there will be questions there. Devontae Adams questionable with wrist and illness. Jeff Ulbrich said he would play, so got that. Tyreek Hill will continue to play with his injured wrist that will need surgery. The surgery won't come till after the season. So, I'm we'll talk. I see questions out there. I see questions out there about Tyreek Hill, so we'll get to those. Hello, Wendy Early. Good to see you. Keeping up with the chat here, just trying to make sure. Hello. I'll get to the questions. Give me a minute. Tight end is where we've got you. Tight end isn't a mess enough already. Sam Laporte is out, so it's against the Jaguars. Are you playing Brock Wright? Are you playing Shane Zylstra? I am Bob Harris. Thank you for reminding me. It's a fantastic thing to be. Morning, Dave. Thanks for coming. So no Sam Laporta. That sounds like a week-to-week thing. So maybe he's back next week. We'll see if not. Dalton Kincaid, as I mentioned, out with a knee injury. Dawson Knox, a viable streaming option. Maybe so. The Chiefs, so the perception, the Chiefs have given up some huge games to tight ends. It's been like 50-50, some big games and some not great games. So that's something. Yeah, I'm sure we'll get some questions. I've been last night, sometimes you get on the radio show and all the questions come in, and it seems like every question is the same question and every answer is the same. So I had a lot of questions about Will Dissly. I love the fire the dismissal. Then now I legitimately can say that. There you go. And he did. Coop did say Zylstra overright. So that's an interest. I did see that. So I've been talking up Will Dissly. He's second on the team in targets. He's been solid, and they're throwing the ball more. So we'll get into some of those questions. I feel like I get to a point where I feel like the answer to every question is the same guy. And I feel it gets to the point where I feel uncomfortable with it because I say it so many times. I'm just repeating it over and over. And as you repeat it, you're telling yourself, God, man, I'm setting myself up for a huge fall. It makes for miserable football watching on Sundays. But just because I'm convinced on a guy and the answers to a lot of questions, guys are in the same range, I don't like to let that throw me, but it does get like you think, wow, I keep telling everyone to play this guy. And they're guys I have hunches on. I'm not going to do the hunch talk today, but you all know, like, I'm all about playing my hunches. I'm all about you playing yours, and I'll let you know if they are crazy. I'm not sure what the time the Scampers report starts. There's been like, we had like a Tyquan Thornton breaking news, but it was before the show. He was released by the Patriots. And what else? Michael Mayer was activated by the Raiders after like a multi-week absence. So I see there's going to be some interesting questions about Anthony Richardson. You'll be surprised to know I have thoughts on this. Oh, yeah. So let me get through the tight ends. George Kittle, questionable. Noah Fant out, by the way. I should have mentioned that. Not that anyone was playing him, but just one more reason to fire the dismissal. George Kittle, questionable. So that's a late afternoon kickoff, so be careful for that. Isaiah Likely's back, by the way. So Mark Andrews, does his run as, like, he's been playing well. Mark Andrews has worked his way back inside the top 10, and I'm happy to see it. It's been like a touchdown a week. So does he keep getting that with Isaiah Likely out? Likely's been out the last couple of games. Last week's numbers were, his target share was as high as it's been all season, Mark Andrews. So we'll see if that remains. Definitely more than a streaming option now, though, at a position. I would even play Andrews over Will Dissly, the great Will Dissly, I should say. Harrison Butker, done for the year in Kansas City with the knee injury. Meniscus trim, I believe is what he had. But either way, Spencer Schrader will handle the kicking. So there you have that. So Anthony Richardson, back. I'm sure we all have questions. I'm very excited about that. I'll just remind everybody he's been two things this year, right? If we can think back all the way back to week 1 when he scored 26 points and he was exactly what you drafted him to be. He can be that guy. Will he be that guy against the Jets? I don't know. Josh Downs, can he be the guy we want him to be? I keep throwing back to James Boyd from The Athletic, who I talked to in August, who predicted Josh Downs would be the most targeted and maybe have the most catches of any receiver in this offense. Back when we all thought that was going to be Michael Pittman. James Boyd did not. And that was before Anthony Richardson was horrible, right? He thought this was going to be with Anthony Richardson. So we'll see. And so I'm excited to see it. I don't know if I need to play it this week. Here's the first question on it. So scooped up Anthony Richardson off waivers in Superflex. Would you start Richardson versus Jets, Cousins versus Denver, Russell Wilson versus Baltimore, Tua versus the Raiders? I'd probably go with Russell Wilson and Tua if you want to play a swing for the fence. If you have the hunch that, hey, Richardson's going to catch lightning in a bottle. He sat on the bench for a couple of weeks, learned some lessons. He's healthy. He's ready to go. Feel free. I'm probably going to get, like, I'm as invested in Richardson as anybody here, probably more so. So maybe not. But like, I could give it a week and see. Like, I'm not, keen on playing Tua, but you look at some of the numbers quarterbacks have put up against the Raiders over the course of the season, including Andy Dalton, like a 25-point game. There have been some big, big games. Is this a game that the Dolphins can get their passing attack on track and Tyreek Hill become a viable play? That would be crazy. Tyreek Hill go from wide receiver 3 back to wide receiver 1 status? I don't know. But it's the Raiders, so there's a chance. So I would probably play it safe this week if it was me. I have a hunch that there's a good Richardson game coming. I don't know if I have it, if it feels strong enough for me to even play it this week. What I would like to see from Richardson is a good game, followed by a second good game, followed by, hey, maybe I can play this guy when it matters most. And that's going to be the thing. Reinstilling confidence or rebuilding my expectations that he's going to be a viable play as I head into the playoffs. Or is he going to be that 26-point upside game guy who could maybe win me a league title when I need it most? I don't know. We'll see. PC, we're thinking of dropping Brian Thomas Jr., Downs, D-Hop for backup running backs, Corin Benson, Charbonnet, Cup. So you have the firepower to drop any one of those guys if you want. I would probably not drop. I would hate to drop Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, I hate to let go of things once I have them, but especially if you have one of the starters, do you have the starters? I wouldn't mind having Corum Benson. Like, Benson seems like he's coming on, but I think for any of those guys, it's going to require an injury. So you're rolling the dice. So I'm not a fan of that. I'm a fan of having it available to me though. So I get it. Can't play all those guys. So yes, I'd maybe give it through this weekend to see how Anthony Richardson looks before I give up on anybody. and what the outcome for Trevor Lawrence is going to be. I mean, I think if Trevor Lawrence is going to come back at some point, I wouldn't want to drop Brian Thomas Jr. Hi, Big Mike, the Bears fan. Tank Delarico Dowdle, flexible PPR, neighbors on standby, stating in his place. Okay. I'm going to play Rico Dowdle, the monstrous feature back of the Dallas Cowboys. I'll see. With Nico Collins back, I'll take a wait and see on Dell. I think Dowdle's been fine. I think I've had a blind spot for him for a little while. I do not now. Bruce Jacobson, a couple of questions in standard. Need to pick 2. London versus Denver and Pat Surtain. JSN versus Tough Sam McConkey. Hawkinson or Hill at tight end. I'm probably playing Hawkinson this week. I mean, Hill's like more of an emergency play for me, more of a roll of the dice. If I have a consistent high-end producer, which I think Hawkinson's going to be, I'd rather play that. I'd probably play, boy, with Metcalf back, like it's not desirable. The Denver defense hasn't been as shut down as it was early in the season when Surtain shut down a handful of our favorite players, like big-time players, right? I want to go back and look at the list. It was pretty impressive. It was DK Metcalf, George Pickens, Mike Evans, Garrett Wilson, DeAndre Hopkins have all had horrible games against them. Others have been better. I think I'm going to go London. I think he'll work in the slot enough to maybe avoid the Surtain treatment. Like we have seen receivers have some success against this defense recently. So I'm going to go with that. Just with Metcalf coming back against San Francisco, I'd probably lean that way. Okay, Mark Samplin. How are you? Hold on one second. This is true, John Bonneville. John, you're back. It's been a while since I've seen you. Yeah, welcome in. Good to see you, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate the flowers as well. Okay. All right, Mark Samplin. I got you. I'm gonna flex Dobbins here. Like I love Ridley, right? Like, and I Ridley play like if you go to my in and out column, you have a number of my ins on this one. Ridley is my in at wide receiver. Been wide receiver 3 over the last 3 weeks. The volume's been great, regardless of quarterback. 2 games with Mason Rudolph, 1 game with Will Levis, averaging 10 plus targets a game. So it's been great. I'm probably going to play, and I do like Chubb. Chubb is my in at running back. I think it's a great matchup there, but I'd probably play it safe and play Dobbins. I was worried a little bit when Gus Edwards came back that he would take the top off. I went back and looked over the numbers over the course of the season, and it turns out the numbers haven't changed that much. So Dobbins had 1 game, 25 carries against New Orleans, was it? But the rest of games, he's right around 15 to 17 carries, whether there is a Gus Edwards getting 10 carries or not. So I think I'm going to go ahead and play Dobbins this week. And like if you're playing hunches, if you have a hunch about Chubb, I wouldn't tell you not to play him. But it's a pretty good matchup for Dobbins as well. Okay, one more for me. Dawson Knox versus Kansas City or Tucker Kraft versus Chicago. I might take a chance on Dawson Knox in this one. Jameis Winston of New Orleans or Drake May versus the Rams. I kind of like Drake May in this one. Let me just look. Like May has a little bit of running ability. I like Jameis Winston too, right? But maybe because I've like invested in a big Nick Chubb week. I think it's going to be a big Nick Chubb week. See where the projections are at on May this week. Yeah, the projections like May too. So I'm going to go with May in this one and hope the rushing equity carries me through. Yes, I would. Yes, I would, Eric. Drop Khalil Herbert for Trey Benson. Khalil Herbert would drop something, but it would be the football. Drop Kraft or Jonnu for Corum or Coker. I mean, you can't play them both, sure. Your choice. Like I'm not a huge, we talked about this at length last week. I'm not a huge, diving deep into the Carolina offense. So, and I, Coker probably right now has more value to me than Corum, though. Drop Keaton Mitchell for the other. I'm probably, if I've been holding on to Keaton Mitchell, waiting to see what I have. Need 2. Cousins, Winston, Love. I'm going to probably go Love and Winston. Cousins is my out this week against Denver, in Denver. Cousins just hasn't been good when he's not playing the Buccaneers. Hasn't been great, right? I could break out the numbers for you, Ian, but go check out the in-out column today. It'll have all that you need to know. And Scott Fish, now you're just trolling me because my team is so bad in Scott Fishbowl 14. I would probably play Estime there and take a chance. I like Butte this week. He's my outlier of the week. And I like the matchup for Mike Williams. I'm playing Estime. I think he's going to get the run as a starter. I'm probably playing Shakir over Cook this week in a PPR. Cook might be my out in this week's in and out at running back. The thing about Cook is he's great in great matchups. Just in general, he's been good. He's like, running back 15 on the season. But he's great in great matchups, and he disappears. He's evaporated in bad matchups. I like Shakir for the floor in that one. Need 2 in a PPR, says Ann Dunn. Jerry Jeudy. The answer is almost never Jerry Jeudy, especially when it's next to Tillman. I'm probably playing Tillman and Dobbs in this one. In fact, I'm sure I am. But I'm going to check that. I'm going to check I'm playing Tillman, so I don't want to play both those guys. So yes, that. Dempsey is snapping. He'll be on the show tonight. We'll get that in-depth Jaguars analysis, I'm sure. I want to say I'm not keen on Pollard this week, but I don't know if I've gone that far, Rachel. Let me look, double check on the projections. I know how I feel, but sometimes I want to see how the projections feel so I don't look stupid or stupid as I feel. Yeah, the projections like them slightly more too. It is exactly what I thought. It's 22 on the projections. I love our projections team of football guys, Jason Wood, Moriel Tremblay, Justin Freeman, Bob Henry. They do a great job. I base my rankings on them, and then I make adjustments. That's one adjustment I did not make. I like Dowdle slightly over Pollard this week. Don't like the matchup for Mr. Pollard against the Minnesota Vikings. Downs versus Jets or Brian Thomas Jr. versus the Lions. That's a horrific choice, right? I'd probably take my chances with Downs in this one. Like Brian Thomas Jr. last week was this week's matchup. I don't know. It's maybe okay for the wide receivers individually, but I don't know if it's great in general for the Jaguars. They didn't throw the pass to Brian Thomas Jr. or Mac Jones last week until I want to say like late in the third quarter. He didn't catch his first pass until after that. It was like the offense tends to get off. So I'm going Downs. Elijah Moore, start him over Dubs in a half-point PPR. I don't think so. I'm probably starting Dubs over both. I would start Dubs over both Jeudy and Elijah Moore. How about that? Burrow on bye next week. Pick up Drake May or Richardson. If you're being are you playing it safe? I think I don't have the schedule in front of me for next week, and it's hard to get to. So I should probably have that in the future. Like Richardson is the huge upside guy. Let's see, let's see what happens in the game Sunday. I mean, I'd be fine picking up May. But again, if Richardson can start showing signs, and you guys know, I thought he was against Pittsburgh before he got hurt. Right? I thought he was starting to give us indication that maybe he was picking up the pace a little bit. I'm hoping he's learned a little bit, but I don't know that he has. So I'd want to take a look at Richardson, get some eyes on him. Has he improved at all? Is there reason to believe he can return to being that guy that we know is in there, that 20-plus point a week upside, the running ability, can he get his pass? Like, he's never going to be a high completion percentage passer, right? He's not going to be that. But can he start connecting on some of the big plays that he just missed on? Like, I also say on Richardson's part, there were a number of plays where we'd be having a whole different conversation about him. Maybe he never would have been benched had he, like some touchdowns or some big plays that came just short we're connected on. So I want to wait. Honestly, Tone, I don't want to bail on this one, but I want to get a look and see at Richardson. Like my gut is telling me, yeah, Richardson, I want that huge upside guy. But I want to see, maybe this isn't a great litmus test against the Jets, or maybe it is. I want to watch. I want to take a wait and see. So if you have to be super proactive and do it today, I'd probably do Richardson today. A do or die matchup in the greatest dynasty league known to man. I've got the best sit league. Oh, best sit league. I'm not sure about this one. Nick Chubb. I'd start Nick Chubb. And I'd start Bo Nix over Jared Goff. How about that? That's easy. Are we saving Poland from what? Choose one quarterback, says Dustin McLaughlin. From Purdy, Debo, choose one quarterback, 2 wide receivers. Let me read that properly. Juwan Jennings versus Seattle, Darnold versus Tennessee. Purdy. And the 2 wide receivers are Jennings, because I don't want to play both those Chargers. And depends how much you need. You want a high floor play? It's probably McConkey for me. If you want to swing for the fence guy, it's Quentin Johnston. Would you consider picking up Winston and dropping Cousins for the rest of the season? Probably not. Not 100% sure Winston's going to have the job for the rest of the season. I think he will, but I don't think they're married to him. I think if things were to turn south, they'd happily go to Murray Thompson Robinson. So no, I probably would not do that. Might do it for a week. Might find someone. Yeah, 2 kickers, Steve. 2 defenses. Josh Downs or Elijah Moore. I'm playing Downs over Elijah Moore. Oh, the birthday cake. I didn't actually have a cake. I had a piece of brownie. It was delicious. There were no candles because the brownie was not big enough for all the candles. And needs 2 in a PPR. DeMarcus Robinson, Gus, MVS, Juju, and James Palmer. You want a television reporter? Josh Palmer. MVS, probably going to be one of them. I don't chase those points. He's not going to have that same game, but he's going to have a similar role. Maybe he'll start catching all the footballs. Hasn't been his lane up to this point, but maybe that will change, right? Stranger things have happened. I'd probably go. Oh, wait. That is super tough, man. Gus is getting about 10 carries. Robinson getting a couple shots, and they're usually chances at big plays. I don't know if Juju's going to have a role, right? In his first week back with DeAndre Hopkins coming on. I'm probably defaulting this to narrowing it down to Gus or Robinson. And hoping Gus gets a goal line play or Robinson gets a big play. I mean, Palmer also capable of getting big play. I'm gonna probably revert to Gus because I think he's going to get more opportunities. Does Jake Seeley have a pod? I love Jake Seeley. Good morning. I am done with Mahomes. Traded him for Herbert. With that in context, I need to have a flex. I have Ramondre, Downs, or McConkey. Any value to playing the quarterback wide receiver stack? Sure, there can be. If they connect up, if I have a volume play like Ramondre, I'm probably playing that guy. Unless one of those receivers is playing at a level that demands, right? And so Downs has shown he can play at that level. McConkey has too. Just haven't done it consistently. I'm probably going to stick with Ramondre this week. Look, man. I think I'm being trolled, Henry. I'm going to go ahead and start DK in this one. But I do like Butte. The deep balls have been a real thing for him. But I don't like him that much. Not even remotely that much. Best of though. Dan, isn't that an interesting question? Isn't that an interesting question? I want to say Jaden Daniels has slowed down, right? We can all admit it. He hasn't been running as much since he hurt his ribs. He hasn't been completing as many passes as he had. He's not hitting the big plays like he did. He's quarterback. He went into Thursday night's game as quarterback 10 over the last 3 games. He was quarterback 6 overall. Bo Nix is rising up. I mean, I'm probably sticking with Daniels at the moment, but you can make a pretty good argument for Bo Nix, right? That's a very good question. Almost a personal preference. Do you think, what do I think the odds are that Jane Daniels can return to the form that saw him as a top 5 player any given week early this season. Is it the ribs? Is that like, is the running limiting him enough? Because some of it's been play calling. Maybe they're trying to protect him too. He doesn't have, Cortland Sutton's coming on too. Boy, that's really close. I think I'd go Jaden Daniels and hope I could capture that upside. I think in either case, you didn't draft either of these guys to be your quarterback 1, I'm guessing. Maybe Daniels. So that gives you a little leeway there to figure it out. I'd probably slightly into Daniels for me, but like I don't think there's a wrong answer. I am Legion or Legend, though. Hey, Jamie, how are you? Pick one: Cortland Sutton versus Atlanta, Tillman versus New Orleans, Ridley versus Minnesota. I'm picking Tillman, but I love what Sutton's been doing in recent weeks, and Ridley's been, again, wide receiver 3 overall. So the thing about Minnesota, it's a great matchup for Ridley. Can Levis overcome the other part of that defense that's playing much better than the secondary? That's my question, and that's the separating point for me. Would you sit Najee and or Pollard for Dubs or Elijah Moore? No, not to that level, Steve. Yes, I am. Oh, I thought that said old. Hola, ¿cómo estás, Wendy? Gross question. There are no gross questions. Only gross situations, and we're all having them, right? It's week 11. There are teams on buys. We've had attrition. Half-point PPR, Juju at Buffalo, Addison at Tennessee, Keenan versus Green Bay, or pick up Alec Pierce at Jets. Of that group, I think I'm playing Keenan Allen, and I'm not excited about any of it, right? Like, this is just the point where we're at. If I knew Juju was going to come back into a legitimate, contributing role, I would, if I thought he was going to be like week 5 Juju and have 130 yards, I don't think he's going to be that guy. I think DeAndre Hopkins is that guy now. And Addison just seems like you've got to catch the right play. Like, let me look real quick. And Addison, yeah, that's kind of where the projections are as well. I know that's where my rankings are, but the projections are there as well. Like, probably Dubs is at the top of that, or Pierce is at the bottom of that. So, yep, that's tough. I'm done. Oh, I already did this one. Are we asking the same questions over? Is that what happened? You don't have to do that. I'll get the questions when I get to the questions. Also, in a half-point PPR, Njoku or Taysom Hill, playing Njoku this week. I'm going to probably play Najee in this one. Like, I believe the trajectory is upward. I think that is happening. I think it's a real thing. What we saw last week, the numbers don't lie. But also, I think Najee against Baltimore this week is probably the play. I would like to give it another week to see if I have the Najee option. I don't think Najee's a great play this week. I don't know that Estimate's a great play either. But he is the thing that we saw last week with him rising up and getting most of the carries and what was it, 14? I think that's happening. It seems like Sean Payton's been foreshadowing it. Well, some of the cool people are here. AR, Rodgers, or Jameis. Rodgers is like the super favorable matchup. I mean, the Colts defense is not stopping anybody. The Saints are a great matchup. Like, the Richardson questions, this is going to be more on you than on me this week. I'm, right? Like, I've kind of stated my case on this. I'm not playing him. Yeah, but I'm not trying to force him into lineups. I don't see the need to get him out there that quick. I just want to take a quick look on where Rodgers is in the raw projections. Yeah, it's probably Rodgers of that group for me right now. By a nose. Hello, Andy and Renee Nelson. Which 2 wide receivers should you start in a full PPR? Debo versus Seattle. Look at the way I love the way you're doing that. Thank you. It's very helpful if you give me like enough of a name that I can figure it out and the opponent. So it's like, hits me right in the head. Debo, McConkey, Shakir. So in a full PPR, I'm probably going to play Debo and Shakir. Which tight end, Henry or Disley? Don't get me started on this one. Slade, is Henry beat up this week? No worries, man. I'm just letting you know. I get to him, but I get to him. There's a lot of questions here, peoples. So, like, I don't want to outsmart myself on Disley, right? Like, it's like Henry's, but I don't think I am. Let me just check. Probably still playing Henry this week over Disley. I know he's a little beat up this week, but there was no injury designation, I don't think. Oh, there we go. This Scamper's giving it to me. Give me what I need. John or Knox, big question that we've had a lot on the radio last night. I like John who's slightly over Knox. Like, I think Knox is in a good spot, right? And we've seen, I've mentioned this before, we've seen tight ends come through against Kansas City. We've seen tight ends not come through against Kansas City. So it's Jonu's role has been pretty predictable to me. And against the Raiders, I kind of like him. Worthy, Gabe Davis, or Elijah Moore. I'm going to probably go ahead and take my chances with Worthy in this one. Elijah Moore would be next. Richardson over Levis, Purdy over Stafford. I am CPD 13. Dobbins, Hopkins, Jay Cook or Mooney. Feel it's a toss-up between Hopkins and Dobbins. I'm going Dobbins with that one. I do think it could be a shootout. I have the same hunch as you do. And if it is, it'll be a lot on the passing. I'm playing Mooney over Cook. Oh, my gosh. I could go Quentin Johnston in this one. I could talk myself into that. I'd like to talk myself out of it. I'm going to talk myself out of it. It is Smith and Jigba for me. I would. This is edgy, but my hunch is I would do this. It's a hunch. Yeah, a lot of talk about Mahomes. Andrew needs one. Chase Brown versus the Chargers. Devontae Adams versus Indy. London versus Denver at a half-point PPR. I'm playing Chase Brown there. Look at Royal Slade starting Disley. I think we all love Jake Tranks. It's all about those rankings. What do I think about Josh Downs with Richardson back? I think I discussed that. I think it's a wait and see. Like, I don't know that it's going to be as horrible as people think. I also don't know that it's going to be as good as I thought, right? So there's a middle lane here. I would like to get eyes on Richardson. Like this week, I want to say he's ranked as just outside the quarterback one range for me, right? In the same way range with Rodgers, Goff. I think it's Goff, Rodgers, Richardson. All those guys are right in the same lane. It's called analytics, kids. You don't have to like it. You just have to realize it's there. A terminal sarcasm, all in on Richardson. And Dunn needs 2 tight end premium. Ray McLeod, Michael Pittman, Gus, Jerome Ford, or Chig. Sorry, Chig's out. Jerome Ford's out. It's going to be Pittman and Ray. Hey. And. Hey. It's going to be Mark Andrews, Andrea, for me. Andrews is on a roll. Like, my concern this week is not just the matchup, but the return of Isaiah Likely. Will he get the same target share he's been getting? Is that Is he built that momentum? It's been really good over the last month. Like he's gone, I think, from week 6 from tight end 20 to currently well inside the top 10. I think he's been like tight end 4 of that span. Amari Cooper or Audric Estime. So Cooper is questionable. It's a late afternoon kickoff. So is Denver. So you'll know that. I'd probably go Cooper if just, thinking it might be a shootout, thinking the passing attack is going to be involved. I might do that. I might go that if he's active. Hello, CJ ATM. How are you? DJ Moore, Swift, and Najee for Mike Evans and Chase Brown. Yeah, I like the Evans Chase Brown side of that trade. Look at you go, John Bonneville. This is true. I'm hoping for better against the Raiders. I get that there's no confidence. What was the A dot last week? Like 5 yards? It's not been great. I get it. Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, or Pearsall for my wide receiver spot in full PPR. DK Metcalf for me. Of those 3. Need a flex this week for PPR format, Madison, Estime, or Douglas. Assuming that's Demario Douglas. I might roll Estime over Madison. Let me see what the projectors say. Did they think I'm crazy? It's right. They're right in the same tier. Both just outside the running back 2 tier. Madison ahead. So I'm going that direction. And not Douglas. I mean, it's a pretty good matchup. I suppose you could. Let me look at my flex rankings. Just double check. Oh, boy. It's really close. It's really close. I'm changing up. I'm going Douglas. It's way closer than I thought. PPR need 2 to start. Drake London, Brian Thomas Jr., Cedric Tillman. Cedric Tillman, Levi, is going to carry your day. I'm probably playing Drake London over Brian Thomas Jr., being mindful of the fact that he's going up against the Denver defense in Denver. It's just, until Mac Jones shows me something, I'm not eager. I love the secondary matchup, the actual matchup for Brian Thomas Jr. Do not love it for Mac Jones. Shakir, slight lean over JSN. Slight. PPR rest of season. J.K. Dobbins over Ramondre Stevenson. I would prefer J.K. Dobbins over Stevenson rest of season. Well, I'm seeing Polly Pork Chops in the house. And I've been setting my lineup right so there's a league Gary Davenport has, the Death Match. It's a huge IDP league. It's a really complicated lineup. You have to meet certain requirements. And Polly Pork Chops goes through and checks everybody's lineups. And this is no mean feat. This is a big job. And he does it every week, sends out an email report. And I'm glad I've not been on the report very often. So tip, I get it. If you're feeling hunchy that Dawson Knox is the guy this week, I totally get it. I think Henry, for me, is probably the lean. I just wanted to run through something here that I was looking at earlier in the week. Tight ends against Kansas City. Let's look, because there's been some huge games, right? Like, I mean, it started out with Isaiah Likely hit 26. The next week, Mike Gesicki hit 16. So we're thinking, wow, that's it. Play your tight ends against Kansas City. And then Kyle Pitts had 7 points in week 3. Then Will Dissly, 4.40 points. Not a horrible game for the Chargers. Week 5, the Saints did nothing. Foster Moreau had 9 points. George Kittle had 15 points, so a solid game. The next week, Brock Bowers only had 10. Then another big game. Kate Otten had 21. Then last week, nothing from the Denver tight end. So it's been a mixed bag. I think the perception has been has been like based on that early part of the season that, man, play your tight ends against Kansas City. It's not always true. So, like, I think Dawson Knox will have a role. I don't know that it'll be a Hunter Henry-esque role. So this is a close call. If you have a hunch, though, I'm not against playing Dawson Knox, just given the circumstances. Poor Flowers versus Pittsburgh, Shakir versus KC, Pickens versus Baltimore. Sit 2. Wow. Sitting Flowers? I don't want to sit any of these guys. And Shakir. I appreciate, I'm here. John Bonneville is great, man. Been around for many years. One of my favorite viewers. You're all my favorite viewers, but I love John. We've hung with me many off seasons. Also Tuesday nights, John, 7 p.m. So check that out. Hey, that guy, Kevin. Thanks for coming by. Would you trade Josh Jacobs for McBride? I have Bijan and JT. Yeah, I'd think about that. I mean, we're heading into the playoff run. You're solidifying your starting positions. Are you playing Josh Jacobs over those other two? Probably not. By the way, first-time watcher, if there's others out there first-time watching, I'm Bob Harris. Footballguys.com is the website. Go there. You'll find articles up by me every week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. My fantasy notebook, polarizing players, the in and out articles, the Friday in and out polarizing players with Gary Davenport. Catch me on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern time until midnight. Take a lot of questions there, a lot of calls on those nights. Saturday tonight, I'll be on from 8 to 11 on NFL Radio and the Fantasy Channel. We take some calls there as well, including we'll take some calls at, I want to say, 9:20 with Dave Richard from CBS Sports. So he'll be on for a couple segments tonight. So check that out if you get a chance. Sunday's pregame show with Jeff Mans. Sit 1, Chase Brown, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs. No, not going to do it. Can't make me, Nick Chubb. And I love Nick Chubb this week. Week 12, Burrow on bye. Richardson versus Detroit. Week 12, there we go. That's how you do it. Levis versus Houston. Minshew versus Denver. Oy, that's tough. I'm going to default to Richardson at the moment, and we'll reserve judgment for next week. But that's where I'm at right now. I'm not backing down. So, I'm not backing down, but I mean, we've got to be mindful of what's going on in the moment. I'm playing that, but I'm giving the man time. This is the thing about him. The thing that shocked me about the benching, right? Maybe thought it was a tap out. Maybe players wanted him out. Well, we subsequently learned the players were all behind Anthony Richardson. And the reason is because they can see what he can do. They see the possibilities, and they know he needs to develop. He just lacks experience. So I'm with you. I remember when Josh Allen came in the league and could not hit the broadside of the barn. Now he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. I think this is something that we'll work on over time. I'm not saying Anthony Richardson will improve that way in regards to his accuracy of his passes, but some improvement, yes. Good coaching, yes, will help him out. Experience, yes, will help him out. The things that we love about him, the athletic traits, the ability, the big arm, all those things are there. I'm 100% with you. I McBride on bye. PPR traded Laporta, now ruled out. Ouch. I would pick up and start Brock Wright. Benson will get his shot eventually. Man, we're making good time on these questions today. Boom. How's everyone's season going? Are y'all heading into playoffs? We're getting close. Yeah, and it's not a good matchup for his tight end this week. Maybe Brenton Strange has some leeway. Thank you. Appreciate that. Makes me out ETN's good. No. ETN's not going to be good, but he'll be okay. He's playable. Sit 1 in PPR. I might sit London in this case with these options, right? If in a vacuum, it would probably be Tyreek Hill right now. But London versus Surtain, you said the point. I think you're stressing what your concerns are. Feel free to follow along with that. These are all decent options. I mean, 2 of them I think are great. Tillman and Ridley, I think, are on fire, rolling hard. Last one for Ian Dunn. Need 2 to PPR. McConkey, Shakir, D-Hop, Tillman. Tillman and Shakir, slight lean. Who should I drop to pick up Estime? Mike Williams, Tillman. Tillman's a wide receiver 1. No. Maybe. Nah. You're actually pretty good. But yeah, you could drop Keith Mitchell for Estime. I mean, I'd drop him for a starter. No. I see any question I see start with Zamir White. One of my biggest misses of the year. Oh, I see. The options are. This is horrible. I did have a trade alive that would help, but I have to give up MJ to receive Pollard and ETN. I would consider doing that. I would give up MJ. I would give up Marvin Harrison Jr. to get Pollard, depending on who my wide receivers are. Wide receivers are. Oh, okay, I see what it is. I see where. You don't have that many high-end guys. That's tough, man. Like, you don't have many running backs beyond Tracy to be, so I might still do it. Not happily do it. Ann and Andrea stacked in all their teams every year. Neat. To you as well. K-Dog, PPR Flex, need 2. Jennings, Spears, Madison, McConkey, MVS. It's a lot of guys. Couldn't narrow it down a little bit if I told you. I like Demario Douglas. Probably it's. I like Bateman a little bit. It's probably of this group. Jennings and Douglas. Madison's in the mix. McConkey's in the mix. Those are probably my top 2. It's a big list. Well, Big Lou, one PPR, 1.1. Okay. 2 flex and 1 tight end. Devontae Adams, MVS. Any idea what Robinson that is? DeMarcus, I'll go ahead and settle on. Kraft, Disley, or Likely. So Adams, assuming he's going to play, I'll probably play MVS in this case because he's the starter and he has the role. I don't expect him to count him on. And out of these tight ends, I'm probably playing Disley myself. He is. Cliff takes a lot of heat. I think that's definitely possible. I think there are leagues probably where I drafted one, but I had to wait. But the reason you could wait, like for the same reason you drafted Richardson, or I was willing to invest in Richardson a little early, I would go with Daniels, my quarterback 1, because the quarterback's available after him. It's perfectly fine. Is it a PPR? If it's a PPR, I might slightly to Rashad White. Mr. Scampers has a question. Algier, Denver, Braylon versus Indy, or Mostert versus LV. I have started 2 of them, but want to squeeze Boutte in there. I don't blame you. I like to squeeze Boutte too. I like him probably. I like Algier. It's going to be Algier there. Got a few more minutes left. I'll try to get as many of these as I can. It's true. No kidding. It's totally true. Need 2 in a PPR. 2 of the 5. Cup and Mooney. Nah, not Mooney. Don't like the matchup. Cup and probably going to go Cup and Tyreek this week. Yeah. Fire the dismissal. Correct answer is Davis Allen. It's been a narrow band for Davis Allen. I'm not buying that one yet. He needs more than 1 week. Oh, that's I don't know that. No, neither. The heaviest gauge I can find. It's metal, kids. Nightwalker, full PPR, wide receivers, running backs. One of each to start. Starting Tillman from that group. He's my wide receiver 12 this week. I love Ridley. Again, wide receiver 3 over the last 3 weeks. He's been very good. Don't trust his quarterback as much this week. The running backs, I'm probably going to go Stevenson. And one flex from either. My flex would probably be, I like Jennings a lot. My flex might still be, I might take a chance on Ridley there. Dunlop Jazz 3s for me. There you go. Very thick. The thicker, the better. I think Ertz over the rest of the season is probably more reliable. Mandolin picks. I've not seen that. Full PPR, sit one between Chubb, Tillman, or London. Thank you. Well, I don't want to play both Browns, so I'm sitting Chubb. But honestly, I can make a good argument for sitting London. The argument is past Sertan. Though the saving grace there is he's not going to, they work him out of the slot too. I don't think he's going to. It's not going to be like. I think he's lining up perimeter 60% of the time. I want to say. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me check that before I say something stupid. 59% of the time. So it was not 60% of the time. So I was wrong. Tillman. John. So Eric, here's the thing. I think Tucker's a better swing for defense play. I also think Jonu's been an even workload over the course of the last month and a half. Thank you for coming. A what? OG minor threat? I don't even know what that means. I'm so old, I don't even know what an OG minor threat is. Mike Evans is on bye. Yes, he is. But he'll be off next week and should return to action. Would you bench Tyreek for Ridley? I would. I've got this straight edge minor threat. I love you. That's beautiful. Polly pork chops. Traded Stafford and Jacobs for Herbert and Najee. Herbert's coming on. I would have done that. Thank you, Casey. I appreciate that. My week has started bad. Scary Terry got me 2 points. That is not good. Rappaport just made it official. More active and likely to play. That's Scamper's job. Better stash for playoffs. Braylon Allen or Benson? I'd say Benson. But it's we're counting on an injury. Half-point PPR. Douglas versus Rams. Adunze versus Green Bay. I'm playing Douglas. I mean, Adunze might be a swing for the fence play. The Bears' offense has just been horrible, right? Albert, good to see you. I'm trying to trade Pacheco. He won't get all the touches, and he has a terrible schedule the rest of the season. Fair enough. Sorry, Estimare Etienne. Oh, my God. I still, I would think about Estimate there. Honestly would. Hunter Henry or Mark Andrews? Mark Andrews. I'm running from the matchup, but it's not the Pat Surtain matchup isn't as daunting as it was. Do I want to get T. Higgins into the mix? Yes. Would I like to give it a week if I had great options? Yes. I might go T. Higgins here just this week and just see how it is. Estimate or Estimate? I'm playing probably Estimate. ETN, I know there's no Bigsby, but is the offense been good? Is there enough meat on that bone for me? Nah. I'd rather play the better offense in this case. ETN, he does have some receiving equity, so I like that as well. So, it is close. It is close, Crooner Live. I get it. Rodgers for me over Tua. Oh, no. Sorry. I agree. Andrea. Oh, no. This is unusual for Andrea. There we go. Jeff Bolt. All teams 5, 5, 6, 4, 7, 3, and 0, 5, and 5, 0, 7, 3, and 0, 5, and 5 league. I draft Bijan Chase 1 and 2 draft. All right. Probably playing Douglas over Hill. Slight lean to Harris, but it's close. Get some of those. All right, everybody, the hour's up. Let me see if I can grab a few of these now. If Amari can't go. Who to flex? Probably Judy there. Belay's a sexy pick, though, right? Flowers, Dell, Tillman, Johnson Jr. Can't think. It's not hitting me. Of the names that I recognize, Tillman and Flowers. And I know Johnson Jr. is like a stupid one that I can't think of, but I can't think of it. That's why sometimes, like if it's a common name, if you use the first name, it's really helpful. I almost said another word there. Half point PPR, Douglas over that. I already saw this question, right? So you only have to ask once. Okay, I'm on Blue Sky. You'll find me there. Search for me. Here's the thing about the X and Blue Sky for me. I'm not on social media for attention. I'm on social media to work. Right now, X still has the things I'm looking for, the information that I'm trying to gather. If that changes, I'm open to that change. I've been on Blue Sky for like a year now. I got one of the original invites. So I've been there and I'm fine with it. And I hope it all works out well. But if it turns into another thing like Threads where it just goes kaput, I'm not interested. I'm there to work, not there for the attention. Huge Sabbath guy here as well. Estimate over Johnson. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's possible. I might play Winston over Cousins this week. Doubs and Waddle. Thank you. I appreciate that. I've been playing Disley over Knox this week. So if it's a hunch play, I need to check it out then. I've been going Disley over Knox this week. I get it if you want to play Knox. This is a target of opportunity. I'm playing the more consistent guy who has been consistent over the last month and a team that's passing the ball more and a decent matchup. And thank you. I'm going to go check out some OG Hardcore Minor Threat. Now that you mention it, it does ring a bell. Just didn't ring a bell in the context. It's okay, Lester. You didn't totally flake. You're still here. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. Boy, I'm probably playing Stevenson still. Don't like the passing matchup. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate you all. You're all fantastic. And, your time is, I know the beat writer is coming over at a rapid rate. And if it happens, I'll be there. Like, change is great. Change is the worst thing ever, right up until you make it, right? So I get that. But right now, my work environment is like I have needs. So I'll be there. You'll see me there. But I'm still going to be on X until I can't, until work forces me. I'm here for utilitarian purposes only, not anything else. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. We will talk to you Tuesday night, 7 p.m. on the hot seat. You can hear me on the SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 to midnight tonight, 8 to 11. Dave Richard will be the guest. CBS Sports, Jimmy Calandro from Rotoballer will talk DFS in the final hour. Tomorrow I'll be on with Jeff Mans from 11 to 1. Also, the Football Guys pregame show is fantastic. Watch it on the Football Guys Fantasy Football YouTube channel. I love it. I have it on in the background while I'm doing the show. And check out the Daily Update podcast, 10 minutes every morning, Monday through Friday. Just kind of give you a little bit of news and information to help you set the day, kind of get things on your radar that maybe you need to look for if you got a busy schedule and you're just trying to keep up a little bit during the week. That's how you do it. I'm Bob Harris. Over and out. Love you all. Thanks. Bye.